Welcome back to Sunrise. This time we're switching gears to look at the environment. The UN Global Climate Conference COP24 kicked off on the 2nd and it's going to end on the 14th of December in Katowice, Poland. It's organized in accordance with the environmental policy of the Ministry of Environment and in the Register of Eco-Management and all of that. But the whole idea behind COP24 is to, the Paris Agreement.
Yes,
signed in 2015.
Yes.
So this time...
And we are party to it.
We're party to it. This time is to sit down and draw up a plan as to how that agreement is going to be implemented. How they call it? They said it's the rule book. So everyone as a part of that agreement, this is how you're going to operate. These are the things you're going to do. And then I'm wanting to believe, well, our guest, who happens to be in Poland, would help us understand exactly, are there going to be fines, penalties for nations that go contrary to this? So joining us from Katowice in Poland is Dr. Paul Abolo, an environmental strategist. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I hope the cold is not getting too much to you.
No, it's not getting too much. It's a reminder that we need to do the right thing about the environment. So the cold is helping us to work together and to do what we need to do over here. How are you doing, Nyota?
Very well, thank you, Dr. Abolo. So, Dr. Abolo, you were there for let's begin from the president's presentation. He presented Nigeria's document at that conference, the opening of the conference. From what you gleaned from it, where do you think Nigeria is headed to as regards climate change?
First of all, we need to understand how this was structured. The speech from the leaders were structured in a storytelling format where the presidents or the leaders have to tell where we are now, where we want to be, and how we need to get there. It is called the Talanoa Dialogue. And the president did a fabulous work because he touched on our challenges. The number one is the recharging Lake Chad. He touched on that extensively. And then he went on to talk about the green bonds, the success that Nigeria has made with the green bonds as the first African nation to float a sovereign green bond. He touched on that. He also touched on the NDCs, on the implementation of the NDCs, which is the rule book that you are talking about. And then to end it up, he now talked about Nigeria's commitment to the 20% emission reduction from business as usual and 45% conditional by 2030. He did a great job and he represented Nigeria very well. As a matter of fact, when he talked about the green bonds, everyone got interested and they needed to know how Nigeria was able to achieve it. So, and I'm standing right behind the Nigerian pavilion. This is the first time Nigeria is having a pavilion and it's making history. As a matter of fact, the president visited us at the pavilion and he was quite impressed with what he saw going on there. We've had a series of side events at the pavilion, beautiful events. We talked about the Lake Chad. NNPC had a great outing, and Kaduna State brought it down to the grassroots. The Kaduna State had 2 side events, and they showed pictures of flood devastation in Nigeria. It's such a wonderful time that's going on here. Next week, we expect the FCT to tell the FCT, the Abuja story in the Talonia Dialogue manner. We also expect NISO to give their perspective on climate-smart agriculture. So it's a full house, and we are having such a vibrant occasion here. I wish, Nyota, that you were here, but I'm sure you're following what's happening.
Well, Dr. Abolo, I am there with you, as they say, in the spirit. I'm there with you, and we're following what's happening. But looking at the things that the president reeled out, I mean, the 15 years, in 15 years, reducing emission by 20% and then 45% by 2030. Where are we right now in terms of working towards that target?
Yes, we are. As a matter of fact, if you look at the green bonds, most of the projects in the green bonds are channeled towards emission reduction. And then presentation that was made by NNPC was quite ambitious, how they are going to end their gas flaring, how they're going to invest in renewable energy, and all these are going to contribute towards meeting this target that the president talked about. And then we are embarking on mass forestation projects, and we are also embarking on climate-smart agriculture. So Nigeria is set to make sure that we meet this ambitious target.
Enough being done at home towards meeting this target. Is there enough awareness among the people that this is what we intend to be, this is where we intend to be by X number of years?
Well, climate change issue is relatively new. Yes, there's a lot that is going on. Maybe that's not enough that's done already, but a lot is going on because here we have the civil society. We have some students from some African countries. They had a huge event at the Nigerian pavilion, 12, 13, 10-year-olds, So that is something. And then we have the private sector. As a matter of fact, what is lacking here, I must tell you, is the private sector participation. We only have one or two of them, but we need to have the big private sectors get involved so that this will be distilled down to the people, and then it will touch their homes like you're talking about. But, primarily, we need to look at the major key areas through which we are going to achieve this target. We are going to look at energy management. We're going to look at stopping gas flaring. We're going to look at our forest preservation. We're going to look at agriculture. Then we can go into transportation, vehicular emission. Then we will go into communication, then go into commerce and industries. Then we end it up with the vulnerable groups. These are the strategies that are listed in our NDCs.
But these strategies, in your opinion, Dr. Abolo, are they workable? The question Alero asked was, in awareness amongst the people, for instance, are the people aware? And how can we begin to get more aware as regards the things that need to be done? Because it will involve the individuals and then groups as well.
Absolutely. The theme for this COP24 is changing together. It highlights inclusiveness in what we are doing. This interview is an awareness. So we have to do it together. We don't expect the Ministry of Environment alone or the government alone. Both you, Nyota, you and I, Alero, we need to get involved in this, and we have to do it collectively.
And talking about doing it collectively, Dr. Abolo, the rest of the world is in there. How is the plan, drawing up of that guidebook, coming up?
It's coming up well. It involves a lot of negotiations. This is the first of its type, the 5-year global stocktake. So most of the countries need to show their plans and how they have tested it out. Like Nigeria did. Nigeria had to show that we have launched the first sovereign green bonds. We are in the process of launching a second one. And we had to show the projects that we are carried out in the green bonds. We also needed to show what we are doing in climate-smart agriculture. So the different countries are doing this. It is doable. You just need to show how you're going to do it. And there's just no other way to do it than to set up a strategy